Hi everyone, Cheryl here from Love and Light Yoga, and thank you for clicking on this video, which is your deep yoga stretch for hips. So as it says on the tin, it is going to bring a deep stretch through the hips, lots of external rotations. You can take this completely at your own level, completely at your own pace. You won't need anything for this, just yourself and your mat, and whenever you are ready, let's begin. Okay, so let's meet in a comfortable seated position on our mats. I'm going to be cross-legged, you don't have to be, but wherever you are and whatever position the legs are in, just start to feel the sit bones grinding down into your mat or into your surface. Start to feel the crown of the head reaching high so the spine is long. Gently close the eyes here, relax the shoulders. And just take a moment to connect to the breath. So allow yourself to appreciate this moment of having come to stillness. Allow yourself to become aware of your breath. So noticing both your inhale and your exhale. Noticing the journey of the breath as it moves through the body. So maybe inhaling through the nose, noticing the breath coming in through the nose, hitting the back of the throat, filling up the lungs, and then exhaling all the way back out. Allow yourself to lengthen your breath here, so maybe start to breathe a little bit deeper. Exhale a little bit longer. And take just a few more breaths like this. And then after your next full exhale, allow yourself to open the eyes and we can start to link up a little bit of movement with our breath. So allow the hands to come out behind the hips as we inhale, reach the hands all the way up and overhead, bring the palms together, and exhale, hands come down through center. And again, we take a big inhale, reach the hands up, stretching out the waist, stretching out the back. And exhale, hands through center. One last time. Big inhale, looking up in between the fingertips. And then exhale, hands come down through center. And then release the hands and come on into your butterfly position. So we're going to start by bringing the soles of the feet together and just letting the knees drop open towards the side. Now it's up to you how close you want your feet to be in towards your body. The closer that the feet are, the little more intense that this stretch is going to be. So you can have the feet super close or you can take them a little bit further away. But we want to find somewhere that we can let the knees drop open towards the sides. We're going to take the hands either around the ankles or the feet and inhale to sit up tall. Go ahead and close your eyes here. And just take a few more of those full deep breaths that we were cultivating at the very beginning of this practice. Breathing deeply through the nose. Full exhales. Notice if with every inhale, can you grow the spine a little bit longer? And with every exhale, can we drop open those knees a little bit further towards the mat? Go ahead and take one more big inhale. And then as you exhale, we're going to forward fold. So start to gently bring the chest towards the feet. Let the head hang forwards here, no tension in the neck. And just find space in the lower back. So we don't want to be pulling ourselves down here. We don't want to be doing anything too intense too quickly. We're just letting gravity do the work here. So the hips are naturally beginning to open. The knees are reaching towards the mat. The upper body dangling down towards the feet. And we're just breathing into the lower back here, breathing into the inner thighs. Full deep breaths. And you can continue to hang out here if this feels good. If you do want to make this stretch a little bit more intense, you can take a hold of around the feet, use the elbows just to guide the knees a little bit closer to the ground, and then start to reach the forehead a little bit closer towards the floor. Take a few more deep breaths here. Feel that deep stretch in through the inner thighs. Take one more big inhale and exhale. And then nice and slowly come all the way back up. Bring the spine up tall. Bring the knees together. And bring the soles of the feet onto the floor. We're going to step our feet a little bit wider than hip distance here. So if your hips are here and this is hip distance, we want to step the feet just a little bit wider, but keep the knees up and keep the soles of the feet on the floor. We're going to release the hands out behind us, slightly lean back with the upper body, and then we're just going to let the knees drop towards one side and then come back through center, drop towards the other side. So taking a few of these, letting the hips slightly twist as we come side to side. And we don't want to be forcing any movement here, but we do want to encourage those knees as close to the floor as they want to go. And if this feels good, you're going to stick with this movement. If this feels a little bit easy, if we need something a little bit more intense, we're going to bring the hands off the ground. We can bring them into Namaste in front of the chest, and we can just take the exact same movement, only this time using the core a little bit more to twist us side to side. And then the next time that we come round towards the left, we're going to stop, we're going to hold, maybe start to send the gaze out over the left shoulder here. Drop the knees to the floor, keep the spine long. Take one more full round of breath. And then come back through center, take the knees towards the right. Go ahead and start to find a little bit of a twist here, maybe starting to send the gaze out over the right shoulder. The spine is long. Take one more big inhale and exhale here. And then come back to center. Release the legs out long. We can give them a little shake just to encourage a little bit of blood flow back up into the hips and into the thighs. And then come back to stillness and meet me in your tabletop. So we're going to meet on our hands and our knees on all fours. We want to have the wrists underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. And we want to flow through a few of our cat-cows here. So as we inhale, we're going to look forward, open the chest, point the tailbone up. As we exhale, tuck the chin into the chest, round the shoulder blades. As we inhale, roll the spine forward, drop the belly. Exhale, chin to chest, belly button towards spine. Nice, just continue on like this. Inhaling to roll forwards. Exhaling to tuck everything up and under. Gently opening up the spine. Bringing a little bit of movement and mobility into the hips, into the shoulders. Bringing some movement into the neck. Breathing deeply here, so keeping each movement in time with your own breath. Take one more full round of breath here, an inhale and an exhale. And then after your exhale, meet me back in a tabletop with a nice neutral spine. And we're going to get into the hips right here. So if the wrists are starting to get a little bit sore, you can drop down to the elbows for this one. Otherwise, we're just here, still on the hands, and we're going to pick up the right knee, and we're going to lift the right knee just as high as feels good for your body. We can either flex the right foot or we can keep the toes pointed away. It doesn't really matter. But we're going to think about opening that right knee out towards the side. So the right knee is opening towards the long edge of your mat. We're going to start to bring it up towards the shoulder, take it down to its starting position, and then all the way back around. So we want to start to make some big fluid circles with the right hip. And it doesn't matter if your circles are big, if they are small. The point is that we are bringing some movement into the hip joints. So just keep breathing here. Just keep moving that right knee around. Let's go ahead and take one more. And then the next time that we have the knee coming up towards the front, we're going to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. We're going to find our lizard pose here. So option one, we can stay right here. Option two, we can start to slide the left knee back. So the further away that we take that left knee, the deeper of a stretch we're going to feel in through the front of the left hip. And then we're just going to find a little bit of a wiggle side to side. So again, just gauging through the hips, noticing how we're feeling. We want to feel a nice stretch through the hips, never any pain. And then come back to stillness. Maybe we stay here, or option three, maybe we want to come down onto the elbows. And if we are down on the elbows, you can start to roll the right foot onto the outside edge. So it's almost like the knee is opening towards the right hand side. Go ahead and just take a few deep breaths here. So we can let the head drop down. No tension in the neck. And just send your breath into your hips. Breathing deeply here. Just enjoying this stretch, enjoying the openness through the hips. We'll take our last few breaths here. So maybe you want to stay here. If you want something a little bit more intense, you can use the right hand on the right knee just to gently open the knee a little bit closer towards the ground. Take one more full breath here. And then bring the sole of the foot back to the floor if it's not already. Come back up onto your hands. We're going to walk the back knee in a little bit and then step the right knee back to meet the left. We're going to meet in a child's pose here. So knees can be together or they can be apart. Sit the bum back towards the heels. Stretch the arms long and release the forehead down to your mat. Breathe it out here, breathing into the hips, into the back, the shoulders. Just give the body a moment here before we move on to the other side. Taking one more full round of breath. And then whenever you're ready, releasing out of your child's pose, meeting me back in your tabletop. And we're going to find the same sequence of movements on the other side. So we're either here on the hands or we're dropping down to the elbows. And we're going to start by lifting up the left knee. So we're going to lift the left knee up. We can have the foot flexed or pointed, it doesn't matter. We're going to think about opening the left knee towards the long edge of your mat, starting to bring it up towards the arm, circling it down, and then all the way around. So just like we did on the other side, Continue here to take these big circles through the left hip. Imagine that you were drawing circles with your left knee. Big circles, little circles. Just moving here. Keep breathing. Nice, go ahead and take one more big circle, and then the next time that we have the knee reaching towards the front, we're going to step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. The toes are on a little bit of an angle here, and then option 1, you're going to stay right here. Option 2, you're going to start to walk the right knee back. We're going to find a little bit of a wiggle side to side. Just again to begin to get into those hips. Notice how we're feeling on this side. How we feel on this side could be completely different from the other. And then maybe we choose to stay here, or option 3, we're going to drop right down to the elbows. So dropping down to the elbows, maybe rolling onto the outside of the left foot, letting the knee open up towards the side. And take a few deep and focused breaths here. Breathing into wherever you are feeling this stretch the most. With every exhale, release. We can either stay here for our last few breaths, or we can bring the left hand onto the left knee, gently press it open. Maybe encourage it a little bit closer towards the floor. Taking a few more deep breaths here. And then after your next exhale, sole of the foot comes to the floor, the hands come to the floor. Slightly walk the right knee back in, and then step the left knee back to meet the right. Go ahead and meet me in one more child's pose. So knees together or apart, stretch the arms long, take the forehead down and take a few deep breaths. And in this child's pose, we want to think about the length through the spine. So think about the tailbone reaching towards the bottom of your mat. Think about the crown of the head and the fingertips reaching forwards. If it helps, maybe we lift the elbows, walk the fingertips a little bit closer towards the top of the mat, really feel that length in through the back. And take a couple more breaths. One more big inhale and exhale. And then whenever you're ready, slowly releasing out of your child's pose, coming back into your tabletop. And from here, we are going to be popping ourselves up into our downward facing dog. So we want to have the fingertips spread wide, tuck the toes under, and inhale to lift the hips up, send them towards the back of your mat. If this is your first downward dog of the day, which it might well be, maybe we find some movement here, maybe pedal out through the feet, bend each knee at a time. Just start to open up the backs of the hamstrings, the backs of the glute muscles, your arms, your shoulders. And then come into stillness. Stay strong through the arms. Take a break whenever you need to, just by bringing the knees back to the floor. But we're going to keep the left foot plugged into the mat here. And as we inhale, we're going to lift the right leg up. Doesn't matter how high it comes. We're going to bend the knee and we're going to open up the hip. So we're trying to bring the heel of our foot towards our left bum cheek. We're trying to open the knee up towards the sky. And then see if we can draw some big circles with the right knee. So trying to keep the entire body still. The only movement coming from the right hip joint. Take 1 or 2 more big circles around. And then come back to stillness. Even up the hips. Take the gaze up towards the hands. And then we're going to step the right knee up towards the right wrist and place it down on the ground. We're going to open the right foot towards the left hand side of the mat, and we're going to find our pigeon pose. So start to walk the left knee back. We want to have the right knee up towards the wrist. We want to have the foot coming across the body in this diagonal kind of shape. And just like we did in our lizard, just find a little bit of a rock side to side here. This is quite a big hip opener, so it might feel very intense. If it does feel too intense for you, bring the foot a little bit closer in towards your groin, and that is going to help. So just finding a little rock side to side. And then coming to center, dropping down onto the elbows. Maybe stacking the hands here, bringing the forehead on top of your hands. And finding a little moment of stillness. Take a few deep breaths here. Feel that deep, deep stretch in through the hips. Notice how the front of the left hip feels. The right glute muscle, the lower back. Deep inhales and full exhales. Let your hips feel really heavy here, sinking a little bit closer into the mat. Taking our last few breaths. So see if you can fully relax the entire body, all of the muscles, just for these last few breaths. And then after your next exhale, slowly release by bringing the gaze up, coming back up onto the hands. And we're going to come out of this nice and slowly, nice and mindfully. So plant the hands into the mat. We're going to tuck the back toes under, lift the knee, and then sort of uncurl your leg. Does that make sense? Point the right toes towards the back of the mat. We're going to see, can we step back into our plank pose? Take a nice big inhale, and then exhale to lift the hips up. Meet me back in your downward facing dog. And you can either stay in stillness here, or just like before, find a little bit of movement. Maybe pedaling out the feet, maybe bending both knees at the same time and stretching them away. And then meet me back in stillness. We're going to plant the right foot into the mat this time, and as we inhale, we're going to lift the left leg up. We're going to bend the left knee, open the knee so that it's pointing up towards the sky, so the hips are open, almost like you were trying to kick your bum with your left heel. And then start to make a few big circles with that left hip joint. So imagine you have a little pencil on your left knee and you're drawing these big circles. The rest of the body stays still. Only movement coming from the hip. Taking 2 more in your own time. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to square off the hips, so the hips are pointing towards the mat. We're going to come forward into our plank, bring the left knee up towards the left wrist, plant it onto the ground, and then open the toes towards the right hand side of the mat. Cool, we're then going to drop the back knee. We're going to start to walk it a little bit further back, finding your pigeon on this side. So again, we can find that little sway with the hips, side to side. Just checking in, notice how we're feeling on this side. The side might be a little bit more open than the previous, or it could be a bit tighter. And then come back to stillness. You decide whether you want to stay here or maybe go ahead and drop to the elbows. Maybe bring the forehead on top of stacked hands. And meet me in stillness. Continue to breathe here, full inhales, releasing exhales. Notice where you're feeling any tightness, and send your breath into that place, into that muscle. And as you exhale, allow that muscle to relax, which allows the entire body to relax, allowing the hips to sink a little bit closer towards your mat. Breathing deeply here into the front of your right hip, your left glutes and thighs, your lower back. Your last few breaths here. And then after your next full exhale, we can release out of our pigeon, start to bring the gaze forward, start to come back onto the hands. We're going to tuck the back toes under, lift the knee. We're going to see, can we lift the left knee, point the toes towards the back, and step all the way back into your downward facing dog. We're going to find stillness here in this downward facing dog just for 3 deep breaths. So take a deep inhale and exhale. And another big inhale and exhale. One more deep breath. And then after your exhale, we're going to step the feet as wide as the mat. Take the toes on a little bit of an angle here. We can take a bend through the knees. And we're going to walk the hands back into our Malasana, which is our squat pose here. So it doesn't matter how low that you come. If we are quite tight in the hips, maybe we are a little bit further up, and that's okay. If we're feeling quite nice and open, we can start to come nice and low towards the ground. But what's more important is keeping the spine long. So the spine is long, the hips are open, the knees are opening up, they're not falling in towards the midline. Maybe we find a little bit of a sway here, side to side. We can have the hands together, or we can have the hands on the floor. And then eventually come back to center, drop the bum onto the mat. There's no awards for doing this gracefully, so you can take your time, get there however you want to get there. And then we're going to meet coming down onto our backs. So go ahead and come onto your back. When you get there, we can bring the knees in towards the chest. Find a little rock side to side. Just gently massaging out the lower back and the very top of the hips. Nice, and then come back to center. From here, we're going to drop the soles of the feet back onto the mat. We're going to walk the feet about mat distance apart. We're going to either let the hands come up behind the head, or we can let them come out to shoulder height, just whatever feels better. And we're just going to find little windshield wipers with the knees. So letting the knees drop towards the right and then the left. And we're not trying too hard here. We're not trying to force the knees over. We're not trying to force the hips open. Just let this movement be nice and organic. Just falling towards the right and then the left. And then the next time that they fall towards the right, we can stop. We can maybe send the gaze over towards the left-hand side. We're going to take a few deep breaths here. So we can either stay here, or maybe we want to pick up the right foot. We can place it on top of the left knee, which is just going to help guide it a little bit closer towards the floor. If that doesn't work for your body, no problem, just leave that one out. Bringing a little bit of a twist through the spine here. Breathing deep. And then bringing the gaze back to center, bringing the knees back to center. And then this time letting them fall towards the left. And we stop. We feel that little bit of a twist through the spine. Maybe we send the gaze out over towards the right hand side. We'll take a few deep breaths here. So we might stay here, or we might pick up the left foot, place it on top of the right knee. Again, just to help guide it a little bit closer towards the floor. And just take a few deep breaths here, surrendering your body down into the mat. Slowing the breath. And then after your next full exhale, bring the gaze back up towards the sky, bring the knees back up to center, give yourself one final hug in, so hug the knees in towards the chest, maybe lift the head, lift the shoulder blades, hug yourself into a little tiny ball for one big inhale and exhale, and then release everything to the floor. Take the arms down alongside the body. You can either keep the knees bent up here, or let them come long across the floor, and just gently close down your eyes. We're just going to finish our practice with a few deep breaths. So breathing fully in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Take 3 deep breaths just like that. Deep inhales in through the nose. Releasing exhales out through the mouth. And after your 3rd exhale, let the breath come back to its own natural rhythm. Take a little scan through your body to notice how you're feeling at this moment. Maybe comparing it to how we felt at the beginning of this practice. And there's no right or wrongs here. There's no pressure to feel a huge difference in the body just yet. But just send yourself a little bit of gratitude for stepping onto your mat, for committing to your practice today, for doing your best for your body and your mobility. Take one more full round of breath here. And then you can either pause the video and stay in this shavasana, or we can begin to slowly release by maybe bringing ourselves onto one side and eventually up into a comfortable seated position on your mat. And thank you so much if you have made it to the end of this video. Thank you for practicing with me. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you would like to see more like this, please subscribe. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Namaste.